All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me? So I don't know if. Can anyone hear me? Good evening. Uh, hey. Yeah. Good evening. Happy. Please confirm you can hear me and not just see my slide or see. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Happy. Good evening. Welcome, everyone. Let's give 3 more minutes for our people to come in. In the meantime, Yippee is our last class. Congratulations. Good evening, Nene. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Congratulations to everyone. Last class. It's been an interesting 2 months, I believe. Yes, it's worth clapping for yourself for. Please celebrate yourself. It's not easy to get to this stage. It is not. I don't know. All through today, I've just been excited about today, as if I'm the one that is doing the last class. Yeah. Nene, I'm fine. I'm very fine. Good evening. I'm fine today. Good evening, Esther. Good evening, Mercy. Yeah. So please alert your friends. They should join in. This is the last revision before your final exam. I know, right? That is a bit of a sweet and sour. I know. I know. As I was like, finally, these amazing women are going to be done with class today. Then I was like, that would mean that they will no longer be saying, hi, good evening, ma, or sending messages on Telegram. That means that would also, reduce, so to say. But then it's just the end of one phase and about to be the beginning of another phase. So we're still meeting. We'll still meet ourselves. Okay. All right. We have just 13 people watching. That everyone has they've done their revision and nobody needs revision again. And that's why we don't have much people online today. Hi Chidera, good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Okay, it's 17 people watching now. I'm waiting to see if in the next 2 minutes we don't have more people, then we'll start. But in the meantime, since we're just doing revision today, how have you found the training so far in the past 10 weeks, right? 10 weeks, 10 whole weeks. Has it been? Was it what you envisioned? I don't think this class was tough though. I don't think this class was tough. I think we're quite chill in our class. We're not bombarding you with back to back activities. Okay, one more minute, one more minute, one more minute before we start the business of the day. But in the meantime, you can please in the chat just let me know how this past 10 weeks has been for you. Exciting, scary, intriguing, confusing. Oh, I don't know. Sorry, sorry. Well, then you've been able to watch those videos to catch up. Please, in case you've missed any class, we'll try. I know Mr. Moses did a lot of revising the topics we had discussed yesterday. He covered a lot of ground, and I saw that you guys had a very wonderful time. So today we'll cover up the many topics. But please, if you missed any class, go and listen to it again. Go and read materials on the LMS just to prepare yourself basically for the exam. Yes, exactly. Please start rewatching. Rewatch. Okay. Litarians. That's nice. I like that name. Litarians. Interesting. Tasking but insightful. I'm glad it has been insightful. I'm glad it has been. Alright, maybe if we have a bit of time after this evening's class, I'll just share a bit of my own story so that I know that it's worth celebrating that you got to this end. Right? It's worth celebrating. You're welcome. I'm glad that it's been great for you. Yes. Get ready for the practical. We've done theory. Get ready for the practical. That's what we'll be doing for our projects, and mentorship part would also involve doing. I think I remember seeing someone's message on Telegram asking about that. Yes, your project is going to be practical. It's going to be quite. It's going to be quite practical, right? So you will be learning a bit of things that you did not learn here while doing the project, right? Things like having to set up your GitHub account. Since today is revision, right? So let's use this to interact. So one of the one of the errors I think quite a number of us made, I think myself and Mr. Moses has also discussed this before, is we did not really utilize GitHub as much. So is one thing I'm going to advise you to do even after this training is go and start learning how to use GitHub well. If you do a practical, link it to your GitHub, because when they want to employ, right, a lot of organizations will ask you, what have you been able to do in the cloud before now, and all of those things, right? Even though for entry level, they might not be very, very big on project. They might just say, okay, did you have certifications, and ask you some questions. But it's good to also have one or two things that you can show them that, oh, I launched EC2 instances, I created a bucket, those things that are expected of a beginner, so to say. And you can always go online, just look for tutorials. They'll give you step by step guide to how to do them. Look for beginner level one so that you don't get confused and frustrated. Tife, I was talking about GitHub, right? So I said it's something that you would use in your project. So we'll teach you how to set it up and all of those things, right? So just get ready. The project should be a tasking and an exciting one. Yeah. All right. So let's get to today's business. We've done a lot of like Yoruba will say, atoton. All right. So today's revision. We're going to be revising, quite a number of just very few things, as Mr. Moses already covered a lot of the topics yesterday. So today we'll be doing covering the remaining topics, and then we're going to be answering. We'll be doing a lot of knowledge check today together, just to prepare us for the exam. All right. So are we good to go? Can I? Shame Mr. Moses already flies, Abby. Can I fly too? Okay, yes. I like that one. I should flew. Thank you. Mr. Moses is already flying, so let me be flew. Yeah, so let us flew together, all of us. All right, so first section we're going to be looking at is Amazon Redshift and data warehousing. I remember it was Mr. Moses that took us on this topic. So, like I said, it's just revision. So it's just basically summary of each of these things. We're not going deep dive again into it. Right. So, what is Amazon Redshift? So, if you are asked in the exam, right, if you come across any question that asks you which AWS service is known as the data warehouse service, then your answer should be Redshift, right? Because Redshift is AWS fully managed data warehouse service, right? And it is designed for all app. Now there are two types of processing. Okay, there's OLTP and then there's OLAP. So Redshift is designed for OLAP. That's online analytic processing, right? Some of the key features of Redshift is that it is scalable, right? It is very, very scalable. Now, because it is managed, it means that it automatically scales based on your need, right? Then, of course, it has columnar storage for fast query performance. So, because it is a service that um, is involved in analysis, a lot of analysis, right? And when you're trying to do analysis, especially for large data, right, you need to write queries and you need the response for that query to be very, very fast. Let's say if you have data that is about 100 million rows, right? It's not like Excel that you have, maybe you have 100 rows in Excel and you can be scrolling through, right? There are data where you have hundreds of millions of rows, right? In those kind of data, you cannot be searching one by one to get the information you want. So you have to be writing query, which is where your SQL comes in, right? For those that are data analysts. So Redshift is optimized for columnar storage so that it can give fast query performance. When you ask it question, its response is giving your data pa pa pa, right? And then of course it is also it has the ability to integrate with various data sources, right? I was trying to pitch Redshift to a customer that were looking for warehouse solution on AWS recently, and this was one of the questions they asked was, oh, our data is in different places, right? How will Redshift be able to get those data? That's one of the beautiful things with Redshift is that if your data is in an Excel file, your data is in one MySQL database, or your data is sitting on your on-prem server or is sitting on that cloud, there's always a way to integrate it. So it's integrates very well with different data sources. Then the use cases for Redshift, of course, business intelligence and big data analytics. All right. Section 2 is monitoring and auditing. I remember I took this one, right? I remember that I took this one. Any questions on Redshift before we go into um, monitoring and auditing? Any question? Ooh, Chidera, yes, thank you. Oh, Jesus. We said we're going to draw an architecture by ourselves today. Okay, let's see how much time we have, right? Although it's intentionally not included in your um exam questions because it was a kind of jara. It's not something that please excuse me. This is not because I have kata. Somebody is frying something and it's affecting my nose. All right, so I hopefully we have quite enough time after, so that we can do a very simple architecting like I promised on Monday. Okay, so thank you, Happy. All right, so AWS monitoring and auditing. Yeah, so under monitoring and auditing, we talked about CloudWatch, we talked about CloudTrail, we talked about Cloud Config. Ah, I wish I had not shown this slide. I would have wanted to ask. Okay, let me take it back. For those of you that have quickly seen it, out of CloudWatch, CloudTrail, and AWS config. Let me see those that will remember very well. Out of CloudWatch, Cloud Trail, and AWS config, which one helps to monitor and keep history of the configurations of your resources? That monitors and keeps the history of the configurations of your resources. Let's say if you set up an EC2, it monitors the configuration of that EC2, and if somebody changes the configuration, it records it as well. Okay, Chidera says config. Okay, CloudWatch. Okay, CloudTrail. I like that the three answer options are available in these three answers. Well done. Okay, so we have three people saying three different answers. Oh, come and bail out. Okay, I'm saying CloudTrail. I'm saying configuration. Happy, sorry. Oh, I just saw your message. You have a cold. Pele. Establishing config, CloudWatch, CloudTrail. Okay. All right. So, okay, we'll find out what the answer is shortly. Don't change your answer. All right. So, yes. So, CloudWatch and CloudTrail. What is CloudWatch? CloudWatch is basically the service that monitors your AWS resources. Right? It monitors the utilization of your resources, basically. It monitors how well they are doing, how you're using the space, how this is happening. So it's a monitoring services for your AWS resources. It can monitor your EC2 instance, monitor your S3, monitor your RDS, monitor your Lambda, monitor anything that is monitorable, right? As long as the resource or the application is sitting in AWS, right? So that's what CloudWatch is. It watches your resources for you and monitors them. So your CloudWatch can be like your camera in your store, right? It's like your camera in your store that is monitoring everything that is happening in that store. It's monitoring everything that is happening in that store. As long as the resource is there in that store, is monitoring it, right? So that's what your CloudWatch can be likened to. And one of the key features of CloudWatch is that you can customize dashboards, right? A dashboard is like something that shows you different aspects of your of what you want to see, visualizes it basically. Say for example, you want to see um how many percent utilization. Maybe you have five EC2 instances, right? And you want to check their CPU utilization, right? You can customize a dashboard to show you those things. Then, of course, for you to be able to create a dashboard for you, it means that it's already collecting information, right? It's gathering information. So while it is monitoring your service, it is gathering the information. It's not just monitoring, right? It's storing whatever is monitoring somewhere. So it's collecting information. It's collecting information about the space of on your instance, collecting information about your CPU utilization, collecting different information as it relates to your resources, right? So that's one of the features of CloudWatch. It collects the metrics, right, that it is measuring, right? It is those metrics that you can now do a dashboard for to visualize them. then of course you can always set an alarm for it to set up an automated action. Say for example, what that means is if you have 5 EC2 instances that are running, and then you see that you want a situation whereby if your EC2 instance is already approaching 80% utilization, right? You want to be alerted so that you can maybe scale, add another um, instance, or shut it down, or whatever the decision you want to make with it will be, right? You can always set an alarm. So a CloudWatch has an alarm that you can set up for you to take actions depending on what it is that you need, right? Okay, so we've talked about CloudWatch. Since I've talked about CloudWatch now, does CloudWatch look like the answer to that first question I asked? Those that said CloudWatch, do you think CloudWatch is still the answer to the question that I asked earlier, where I asked if okay, so CloudWatch is not the answer. All right, so okay, so let's look at CloudTrail then and see if CloudTrail will be the answer. All right, so CloudTrail is the service that logs and monitors API calls, right? It monitors everything. Now, this one is not monitoring only your resources, right? It's not monitoring how you are using your resources alone. It's monitoring every single thing that you do. You click on this thing, it is monitoring it. You launched an instance, it monitors it. Um, you created an IAM group, is monitoring it. And the thing is, it monitors and stores, which is called log, right? It stores the information as to who did this thing, what did the person do, when did the person do it, where did the person do it from. Can you remember that discussion when we talked about it, where I was trying to show us? It will tell you the who, it will tell you the when, it will tell you the where. So if, for example, right, Onoa creates an EC2 instance, Onoa API creates an EC2 instance, and then I don't like Onoa Happy's face. I love her, by the way. It's just an example, right? So I don't like Onoa Happy's face, and then I now decide that I'll go and misconfigure the thing that she put there. I'll go and delete it, so to say. It's going to write it there. If I think that I have escaped, it will tell you the day Onoa API created the EC2 instance, the day Ifeoluwa went to go and delete the instance, right? So it's like your what's that thing? Uh, like the baby of the house, right? The sofa. It's tracks every user activity, every user in your project, right? You're going to be having access to the AWS account. From CloudTrail, I can see who is doing what they are doing, what time they did it, right? If you come and tell me that, oh, I actually did the assignment, I created the EC2 instance, maybe deadline was 12 p.m., right? And then you now said, I've actually created the EC2 instance since 9 o'clock. I don't know why it was not showing on you people's end. No problem, right? They will not argue. All I will just do is was go to CloudTrail and go and check that time that you said, and check for that service EC2 instance, and see did she actually launch an EC2 instance at this time. If it was not at that time, it would, if I search a user ID, right, it's going to tell me, okay, this is what this person did within this time. So it tracks every user activity. Then CloudTrail by itself does not have an alarm feature like CloudWatch. It doesn't have an alarm feature like CloudWatch, but you can integrate it with CloudWatch to be able to use alarm. For example, CloudWatch does not use So you have S3 buckets. And that and right, me. Oh, okay. So it means you start hearing me from the beginning of Cloud Trail, right? And then you lost me midway. Thank you, Deborah. I'm so sorry. We rebook every network misbehaving this night. Okay, so can someone just quickly brief me on where you stopped hearing me? Okay, so you heard me where okay, okay, okay. All right. Okay, that's good. So I didn't talk too much then. I was talking about happiness creating an instance. Integration. So it's like different people stop hearing me at different points. Okay. All right. Let me just pick it from where um Deborah stopped, right? And it was basically at the point of integration. I think I used that example. And I said something like you can integrate CloudTrail with CloudWatch, right? Where I said for CloudTrail, CloudTrail does not have an alarm or alert feature, right? So if somebody goes to do something that is wrong or anything at all in AWS environment, even though CloudTrail is monitoring it, it will not be able to set it will not be able to alert you that somebody is doing something. No, it will not be able to alert you because it does not have an alert feature. But if you integrate CloudTrail with CloudWatch, then CloudTrail will be able to use CloudWatch's alarm to notify you that, hello sir, hello, brother, this user is about to delete the file that you said nobody should delete. Oh, right? It's going to be able to use the CloudWatch alarm, so you can integrate CloudTrail with CloudWatch so as to have that alert feature. Do we get that, sir? Okay. All right. So, um, and I said also that the use cases for CloudTrail is for security analysis, right? You want to analyze the security of your environment, and then of course to track changes when somebody launched an instance, when the person deleted it, when the person uploaded a bucket, all of those things, right? Those are the things that you can track with it. So I asked that, since we've explained CloudTrail now, we already said CloudWatch was not the answer to my question that I asked earlier on. So do those that chose CloudTrail, do you think CloudTrail is still the answer to that question I asked earlier on, where I said which service monitors the change in configuration of your resources? Do we think CloudTrail is still the answer? No. Okay. No. Yes. No. No. Okay. All right. So CloudWatch is not the answer. CloudTrail is not the answer. So let's go to the last one and see if the last service is the answer to that question. So configuration management and security. AWS config. Now, what is AWS config? AWS config is a service for assessing, auditing, and evaluating configuration. So if you hear anything configuration matter, it is the work of AWS config, right? And I think when we first spoke about it, I remember telling us that it's quite easy because even the name sounds like what configuration is, like a short form of configuration, right? So what does it mean? It basically means if uh okay, let's give an example of, you want to build your house, right? You've the thing you did was you bought eight bags of cement, you bought 2 tippers of sand, right? You bought 3 tons of iron. Those were the things that you bought to build the house, right? Those things that you bought are the configuration for the house. It is AWS config's work or job to note those things, to record all those things, monitors it, and say, okay, oh, when Happy was building her house, or when Miracle was building her house, what she bought, the configuration of this house that she built is 8 bag of cement, 2 tipper of sand, 3 ton of iron, right? Now, if for any whether it is Windows or all of these things I've talked about are what are the configuration group maybe when I first created that instance, the security group that I attached to that is was to allow all of that security group to allow HTTPS traffic only from my system's IP address, right? It's still the same EC2 instance, but I have create configurations. What it does is continuous monitoring of your resource configurations. It continually monitors your configuration for every resource that you have that it is linked to. And then, of course, it helps with tracking of compliance. If your organization, right, let's assume that in later now, when we want to start our practical fully, our rule, our policy in later is that nobody should create what are they calling it, their EC2 instance in North Virginia region. You can only create your EC2 instance in South Africa region or Europe West region, right? That's our policy. We can put that policy to what are they calling it, in AWS config, so that when you want to create your own what do you call it, EC2 instance, if for any reason you go against that configuration, it will note it. It will note it, and it can also be integrated with AWS CloudWatch to alert me to say, Levina, because she was drinking tea, she was drinking audio tea, she has forgotten that they said don't create schedule. She wants to create in North Virginia region, right? Because it is monitoring the configuration. His own is configuration business. CloudWatch does not have any business with the configuration. CloudWatch is after you have created the instance, you have created this finish, it will now be checking how is the instance doing, what's the utilization like, how much space have you used, and all of those things. The business of CloudWatch is to watch the resources as a whole. The business of config is to monitor the configuration of that resources. Is to monitor the configuration of that resources. And then the work of CloudTrail is to monitor everybody. The work of CloudTrail is what? Monitor everything. Now you say since CloudTrail monitors everything, right? Can't you be using it for config work? If because CloudTrail monitors everything. Before you want to go and start looking for config information inside the log that it has logged, to take time. So that's why there's a service that is separate to monitor configurations. Is that clear? Do you all get that? Hey God, I beg. This is breaking again. Can we hear me? Can we still hear? Can we hear me now? Can it's very low now. The Wi-Fi looks fine. Let me move. Let's my camera. Just up here. Just hear me. Please don't open this door at all. Can we hear me now? I am back again. I am back again. The areas I am back again. Holy Ghost come and take control. It is well this side. Please, can we hear me now? Can we hear me now? What else would you use? I'm using a 5G router. I don't know. Hmm. Yeah. Can you hear me? Can anybody confirm that they can hear me? The way midnight. Okay. Alright. Thank you, Mercy, for telling me you could hear me. Can the student hear me? My YouTube seems to just be loading and loading, so I don't know if I can't see their messages. I don't know if they can hear me. Positioning. Can we hear me? Where did this take essentially on? Okay. All right. It is well. Please can you confirm you can hear me? I am back. As I am back. I don't know what's wrong. Okay. Hallelujah. I don't know what else. Okay, so where did we stop hearing me? So I can quickly just run over that. We don't have so much to cover again before the knowledge check. So I can cover all the revision, then we go for our attendance break, then we'll come back, we do knowledge check. I think we have about 20 knowledge check. Just config here. Okay, what aspect of config did we stop hearing me? Okay, I should take we take the slide. All right, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so I was saying that config is a service that monitors the configuration. Mr. Okay, all right, no problem. If you buy, if you want to build a house, right, and what was the word now? You purchase 8 bags of cement, right? I know nobody will build a house with 8 bags of cement, but let's just imagine, right? You purchase 8 bags of cement, and then you also purchase 3 tons of iron, right? And uh 2 tippers of um sand, right? Those things you purchased, right, becomes the configuration for that house you want to build, right? So AWS config will take notes of those things that you bought, that okay, for this house, so this was the configuration. The configuration was um 8 bags of cement, 3 tons of iron, 3 tons of 3 tipper of sand. Just like your EC2 instance. If you want to launch an EC2 instance, right? It's breaking again. Is it breaking again? Okay. Then okay, so you can hear me clearly. Okay. All right. Okay, thank God. All right then. Okay, so I was saying that if you want to launch an EC2 instance, right, you need to configure which region you want the EC2 instance to be. You need to configure which security group you are going to attach to that EC2 instance. You need to configure what else? Which OS that the EC2 instance should die or Windows or Ubuntu or whatever it is, right? All of those configurations that you are setting, right, at the point of creating your EC2 instance, those are the things that AWS config is duty is to what? Memorize those settings, memorize it and go and store it somewhere. That on the 24th of October at 7:52 p.m., right, this EC2 instance was launched with these configurations. Now, if maybe after I've launched the EC2 instance, after it is running, and I'll say, the rules that I put on my security group, Folayemi says she's not hearing me. Is that Folayemi alone or is everyone? Yes, it's Folayemi alone or yes, it's everyone. Okay. Okay, so it's okay. All right, thank you. So Folayemi, maybe disconnect and reconnect back. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So I was saying if after I have started launching, I had launched the EC2 instance, and I realized that the rules I put, the security group that I attached to my EC2 instance, right, which was part of the configuration that I set for it when I was creating the EC2 instance, that is that security group. The rule there is allow any traffic from anywhere, and I'll see that this thing is going to become a security issue because anybody can do what? Come into my EC2 instance and see what is there. So I need to restrict it. So I go and change that security group, and I'll change it to allow traffic from only Ifeoluwa's laptop's IP address. Now, what has happened? I have changed the configuration to that EC2 instance, right? It is still part of AWS config work to note that change that I made. It is part of AWS config work to actually do what? Note that change that I made. So the work of AWS config is to note the configuration and the change in configuration. So it gives you an history. If I change the configuration of the security group tomorrow, right, it will store it that okay, this EC2 instance, this was the original configuration on the 26th or 25th of October. The configuration for the security group was changed from this to this, right? So it gives you an history of what the configuration was, where it is now, right? So anything configuration, it is what configs work. And then I was giving an example of how he also does not have his own alarm, so you can integrate it with what? With CloudWatch. And an example of why you might need to do that is if, for example, when you start doing practical, right, we have set a rule, right, which is compliance, tracking against policies. We set a rule as leader to say that no student should launch their EC2 instance in North Virginia region. They can only launch EC2 instance in South Africa region and Europe West region, right? That's our policy in LITA. So we'd have put that policy on config to say this is our policy. So let's assume that Levina, because she was drinking audio tea, right, forgot the instruction and decided to start creating launching this into instance in North Virginia region. CloudTrail by itself, it will see it, but because it doesn't have an alarm system, it will not be able to alert me to say, somebody is trying to create something against your policy. It will note it though, it will note it that Levina at so time um did this that's against the policy, right? Created EC2 instance in North Virginia region, which is against my policy, isn't it? But because it doesn't have alarm, it will not see me. It will probably be the day I will go into my AWS console, right? And then now hear, I will now see, I'm now going through the logs that the cloud config has put. I will now see it that, oh, Levina did this. But because I don't want a situation where that will even happen at all, what I can do is integrate config with CloudWatch. So immediately Levina is trying to create in North Virginia region, CloudWatch alarm will quickly notify me that, hello Mao, hello, Sister Levina, she's trying to create EC2 instance in North Virginia region. CloudTrail just told me now that this is what she's trying to do. Right. And then I will now come and make what remediation and remediate what is happening, basically. So you can always link or integrate config with CloudWatch as well. Do we get what CloudWatch is now? Sorry, cloud. Do we get what config is rather? And with everything I have said about config now, do you think config is the answer to that question I asked at the beginning? Exactly. Exactly. All right. Thank you. So, yes, config was the answer to the question that I asked about which service actually monitors configuration. So, the difference between them is CloudWatch doesn't have any business with the configuration of your resources. It does not concern it how you set up the resource. His own is that once you have set up that resources and that resources is running, his own is to be monitoring if the resource is doing fine, how the resources is doing, how you are utilizing it. That is CloudWatch job. Config, his own concern is the configuration. Nothing concern him with whether you are using 80% utilization or you are not using the space or you are using the space too much. It does not concern config. Config's business is what? Is configuration. While for CloudTrail will monitor everything. CloudTrail monitors every click, everything. So even as you're changing the configuration, CloudTrail is also picking it up, right? But you cannot say that because CloudTrail would monitor every single thing, right? If you want to go and look for a change in configuration, you have to look through people that have created users, people that have launched instances before you now be looking for configuration to take a lot of time. So that's why config is there. Config majors his own major duty is focus on config. So if you're looking for anything that is related to configuration, you go to config. If you are looking for anything that is related to the performance of your resources, you go to CloudWatch. If you are looking for anything that will show you who did what, when did they do it, what time did they do it, from where did they do it, right? These are what you're looking for. Then CloudTrail is what is your junction. Do you understand the three of them now? It's 8 o'clock already. All right. Um, Mr. Idiri or Damilola, please can we go for our attendance break now? Let's go for our attendance break. Okay, just very few things to go. All right, thank you. Okay, so let's quickly fill our attendance. Ah, Jesus Christ. Okay. Please let's fill it on time, so that we can go through all the knowledge check questions that we have for today. Done. Thank you for letting me. Okay, thank you, Tina. Thank you, Levina. Okay, 2 more minutes, 2 more minutes, 2 more minutes, 2 more minutes. All right, thank you, Esther. 2 more minutes, and we can get back into it. Hopefully, the network does not interrupt us anymore. Okay, 1 more minute, 1 more minute, 1 more minute, 1 more minute. Okay, I think a lot of us are back. I can see 36 people back online. So can we continue? Can I flew? Fewest thou high? Fewest time? Whatever the King James version of that English is. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for allowing me and Chumoke. Thank you, Deborah. All right. So let's flew. Let us be flowing together. Okay. So, lastly, on this particular slide is AWS security best practices. So these are just some of it. This is not all, but like we said, today's summary just to remind us. Number one, security best practices is implement least privilege access. Implement least privilege access. And what does that mean? What does that mean? Levina, well done. The fewest. All right. So basically, what implementing least privilege access means is only give permission to someone, enough permission to someone for them to be able to do what they need to do. Right. If, for example, I am in All right. I did not quit though. I did not quit. Quittest that quittest I not. Can we hear me now, please? We gather day. I will not quit. No surrender. We will see this through to the end tonight. The devil is a liar. All right. Okay, let me quickly just rush through because it's like network is doing his own this night. All right, so I was talking about the implementing least privilege access, and I talked about how what that means, what it means um when you hear implement least privilege access. What should come to your mind is basically, you know, giving permission to someone for enough permission for that person to do what he needs to do. Only give the permission that is needed for the person to do what he needs to do. And I was giving an example of, if for example I'm in finance department, right? I handle the bill of the company. So, and I need to get into our AWS account so that I can, my job is to what? Go and look at how much we have spent in AWS so that I can pay AWS, right? And monitor the cost and all of those things. That's my business. It means that the permission I should be given should only be relating to what? Billing, should only be relating to cost. They should not give me permission for EC2 instance or for creating S3 bucket because it is not my business, right? If the only permission that is needed is for someone to create an EC2 instance, then don't give the person permission for S3. That's basically what least privilege access is. Make sure that the permission you are giving someone is only what they need to do. The permission only allows them to be able to do what they need to do, not more than that. Because when you begin to give people access more than what they will need to do, is that one day they will play and go somewhere that they're not supposed to go, and then see what they're not supposed to see, or begin to disrupt services that they're not supposed to disrupt. So please always remember, this is one of the key thing in AWS security. Always implement least privilege access. Number two is regularly update your security policies. Always check if you have implemented security group. Always go back to check this security group. Hope there's no loophole there. Always look at, okay, the last time somebody came to work in my AWS account and I gave the person access, did have I revoked the access, or does that person still have access to my account? Always do a frequent check. Always update your instances. Number three is also to use multi-factor authentication, especially when it is your personal account, right? Always use multi-factor authentication so that way somebody will not be able to steal your password and just use your password to log in and then log you out. But when you are using MFA, right, even if the person has your password, they will send the code to you. So it means you are the one that will see the person will need two things to be able to log in. The person will need your password and the code, right? So implementing MFA gives you an edge over someone trying to, log into your account, basically. All right, next one, well architected framework. So this one I'm just going to run through it, right? It's not so much that will be asked of you in it. Now, the essence of well architected framework, AWS implemented this framework so that you're able to check that what you have built, right, it is secure, it is performing very well, it is resilient, and it is efficient, right? That it is secure, it is high performing, it is resilient, and it is efficient, both cost efficient and operational efficiency. Now, in well architected framework, there are five pillars. Five. One is operational excellence. Two is security. Three is reliability. Four is performance efficiency. Five is cost optimization. I remember Mr. Moses taught us all of these things. So I'm going to only mention considerations for security pillar because I think that's majorly the one that will come out to your exam. I've been giving you small expo, right? All right. So for security pillar is basically focused on access to your accounts, securing it basically. Who can access what are the things you have put in place to restrict access, what are the things you have put in place to be able to guard your resources in AWS. And some of the things that are considered is your IAM. How you managing IAM, which is your identity and access management. Who are those that you are giving permission in your account? Infrastructure security, like your EC2 instances, your security group implementation, your NACLs, and all of those things. Then data protection. Are you encrypting your data both at rest and in transit? Those are all of the things that you consider under the security pillar for WAF. It's also called WAF, by the way. So take note of the five pillars, take note of the considerations for security pillar. Okay, last section for this night: pricing model, cost management tool, and TCO. I think there's the last one before our knowledge check. Hope you can still hear me. Hope you can still hear me. I'm seeing a message. He said there's six. Oh yes, there are now six. That should have been included. Self to be a trick question. Yes, there's now sustainability. There's now sustainability in as part of the pillars. Forgive me for not adding it. There's now sustainability included as part of the pillars. Okay. All right. Thank you to all those that confirmed they can hear me. So let's move to the last one now. All right. So pricing models. Remember we talked about this. I think it was last week, right? Or last 2 weeks. We talked about pricing model, and we said there are three main pricing models. There's pay as you go. Those are the things you need to know. There's pay as you go. There's reserved instance, and then there's spot instance. Pay as you go is basically you are paying by the hour, right? You pay by the hour of where your resources is running. You only pay for when your resources is running. If it's not running, you are not being charged basically. Just like your EC2 instance, it is only when your EC2 instance is running. If you are on a pay as you go model, or what you call on demand model, it is only when your EC2 instance is up that you are being billed. Then there's that flexibility to be able to stop the instance and start it whenever you like, right? When you stop it, you are not being billed. When you restart it, they start billing you. So you can decide on when you want to stop the instance or not without any consequence. The second model is reserved instance. For reserved instance, you are making a commitment to AWS that you are going to use this particular service for a whole year or for 3 years. Now, remember, you can only reserve for like I didn't get which remaining two, which ones do you have? List the one you have for Laimi, and then I'll let you know the remaining two that you omitted. Okay, so while for Laimi is typing, I was saying that reserved instance you can only reserve for either 1 year or 3 years. You can't reserve for 2 years. So there's only a 1 year option or a 3 year option, right? And that reservation gives you up to 75% discount compared to the pay as you go model, right? Up to 75% discount. Now the downside of or the caveats with reserved instance is that you cannot stop the instance. Even if you stop it, you're still going to be billed. If you like, don't be using it, you'll be billed because you have already made a commitment to do what, to be using it. So AWS has reserved that space for you in their data center. So if you decide that you are not going to be using it, all the best for you. At the end of the month, they'll still send you the bill that this is your bill. So that's why it's unlike pay as you go. You cannot just be starting or be stopping it, right? So it is important that Before you reserve an instance, you are sure of the usage. You are sure that you're going to be using this thing constantly for the time you are going to be reserving it for. Okay, for let me say you have operation, security, uh reliability. Okay, so you already have operations, you have security, right? Okay, yes, you have security, you have reliability, you have performance. Do you have performance? Do you have performance efficiency? You don't have performance efficiency. So performance efficiency, cost optimization. Performance efficiency, cost optimization, basically. Those are the two that is missing. Cost optimization and performance efficiency. All right. Thank you very much, Jumoke. Amazing one. Okay, so that's all about reserved instance. The last pricing model is spot instance. I would say spot instance gives you the cheapest price, right? Gives you about 90% discount from the pay as you go pricing, but only use spot instance when you have an application that you don't mind it being stopped or interrupted at any time. When you have an application that you don't mind it being stopped or interrupted at any time. Now, if you notice what I used in pay as you go and the spot instance, there's flexibility to start and stop, right? But they mean two different things. They mean two very different things. In pay as you go, it means that you have the flexibility to start and stop your instances at any time without it affecting your price, right? But for spot instance, what it means is that whatever application that you are running on that instance, you don't mind it being stopped at any time. Because with spot instance is that what you have made a bid for it. If you remember well, you've bidded for it, you've won the bid. AWS at any time can tell you that, oh, sorry, oh, we need our resource back, or give us back our resource. And they give you like a 2 minutes notice to finish up whatever it is you are doing. If you don't finish up in 2 minutes, your service is disrupted. So if the application is not something that you can withstand it, being interrupted, then don't go to spot instance. But if it is something that you can withstand it being interrupted, spot instance is the best option for you for for a very short time, right? Because it's something you need for a short period of time. Spot instance is best for you and to give you the maximum discount. Now, what are cost management tools in AWS? Number one is Cost Explorer. Cost Explorer is one that provides a visual representation, is one that gives you graphs, right? It gives you a visual representation and analysis of your cost, of how you have been spending in AWS. You have spent $5 on EC2 instance, you spent $10 on EC2 instance, right? It gives you a visual representation of it. Remember, that was when I showed us the graph that day. So one thing to always note with Cost Explorer is that it's the one that gives you visual. It's one that visualizes it, gives you graph representation. While AWS budget is one that gives you the ability to set a maximum spend limit. If at the point of creating your account, you know that I don't have more than $50 to spend, though, you can set a budget of $50, right? And then you set an alarm in the AWS budget. So there's that ability to set alarm in AWS budget. So what will happen is when you are getting close to that $50, it's going to alert you that you are getting close to $50. So you can go and decide, do I want to go and stop this thing that I'm running, or do I want to look for money, more money, so that I'll be able to pay at the end of the month when AWS, sends me a bill. Jumoke, please type your question. I'll take it as I'm going. Okay, then the last cost management tool, right, is it provides a very, very, detailed very detailed report of how you are spending. Very detailed report. And it provides it in a CSV format, in a sheet format, right? It doesn't give you visual like Cost Explorer does. So his own is very detailed. So the difference between cost and usage reports and then Cost Explorer, the difference between the two of them is that cost and usage reports is much more detailed, and it gives you your report in a CSV format, while Cost Explorer gives you an overview of your spending and it gives you visual representation of it. Jumoke, okay. Once an instance has been paid for, after payment and little work has been done, and AWS calls back for that instance, so the money has gone like that. Okay, so you are going to be billed per hour, right? You will still be billed per hour. It's just that if, for instance, on demand, if on demand is saying uh what you call it, if your pay as you go price per hour is $10 for that instance, right? And you want to use sports instance can give you up to about 90% distance. So 90% means that $10 you are going to instead of $10 per hour, which for the on demand, you are going to be paying $1 per hour, right, for the on demand. So if your instance was only running for 1 hour before AWS removes it, you pay only 1 naira, $1. If your instance was running for only 2 hours before AWS interrupted you, you will only pay um for the 2 hours. Then after they've interrupted, you can now move it to a on-demand setting, or if you don't mind waiting till when another spot instance opportunity comes, right, you wait. So it's depending on you, and depending on that, I said you don't use spot instances for critical workload. You don't use spot instance You use spot instances for things that you can afford for it to be interrupted and it will not have a major impact on your business. Do you get that, um Jumoke? So it's not like you're paying ahead of time. No, you pay for the amount of time that it is running for, basically. Hope that is understood, Jumoke. All right, thank you very much. Okay, so last one we're going to be talking about is TCO, right? I would say TCO is total cost of ownership. Total cost of ownership. One thing to note about TCO is that TCO is the cost that is associated with owning and operating an IT infrastructure. The cost of owning and operating an IT infrastructure, be it on-prem or in the cloud, right? TCO is what helps you to show how much you'll be saving if you move towards AWS. It is TCO that will help to show how much you're going to be saving by moving to AWS, right? Also, TCO is what helps you to also understand what it will cost you to put your services on AWS over a period of time, right? Then the factors to consider in TCO is your initial setup cost, your operational cost, and then your long-term savings. All right, I think that is where we stop for tonight. Revision is 8:28. I think we can take our. Are we all good? Any questions now? Well, is everything I've said in this night, is it understood? Can we continue to feel? Um, can we go to our knowledge check now? Okay. All right. So let's do our knowledge check. We have about 19 questions. You poor odds. Get there and Levina and Evelyn. Uh-huh. I've not even read the question. You've already answered it. Yeah, it's good, Sha. I'm glad. All right. So since you already started answering the first question, please every other person please submit your answer. What does IaaS, or what you call IaaS, stands for? Infrastructure as a service. Okay, I'm seeing A. I'm seeing A lot. And there's one C. A. Okay, all right. So let's check what our answer is. Yeah, right. So our answer is what? A. So I'll also be doing a bit of explanation as we're doing this knowledge check. So please take notes that there's infrastructure as a service, there is platform as a service, and there is software as a service. Those are the three main ones. So in case you sit in your exam, please know that those are the three main ones: infrastructure as a service, software as a service, platform as a service. So there's PaaS, there's IaaS, and then there's SaaS. All right. So for those that got it right, for those that missed it, I'm sure you can do better. Just note the corrections, right? And so that in case you sit in the exam, you are able to recollect it. All right. So number two questions. What is the primary function of AWS Route 53? I think Mr. Moses taught us this, so please do not fall his hand. Thank you very much. What's the primary function of Route 53? Mm, okay. A, B. I've seen A, B, and C. Okay. Seeing B, I'm seeing C. All right. Okay, so let's check what our answer is quickly. And the answer is the answer is B. The answer is B. The primary function of AWS Route 53 is to provide DNS service. In short, if you Google Route 53, they will tell you that it is a service that manages DNS, right? It is a service that does what that is it's a DNS service, not even managed. It is a DNS service. DNS basically means domain name system. We'll not be able to go into very deep details, but bear it in mind wherever you see Route 53, it is associated with DNS. It is associated with DNS, domain name system. All right, so the answer is B. So for those that got it, good job. For those that missed it, please take note of the correct answer. Please take note of the correct answer. Okay, so let's go to the see. I intentionally put this question because I actually wanted to see how many of us has gotten used to some words. In AWS, what is the purpose? I think this thing is lagging badly, badly, badly. The slide is lagging pretty bad. It has not changed yet. Where is my network? You can't see the question. Huh? Can any other person see the question? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That it's like YouTube is lagging behind seriously. Mm. Read it very well. Oh. Okay, you can see it now. All right, thank you. So in AWS, what is the purpose of an availability zone? Hmm. A B. Hmm. 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 A B A B A B. Okay. All right. So let's see what our answer is. Our answer is A. Our answer is actually A. And what does it mean to say it provides redundancy? Basically, what redundancy means is basically saying you're having a copy of the same thing somewhere else, right? So, an availability zone is like a copy of data center in another area, right? So, its purpose is if, for example, I have put my EC2 instance in availability zone A, right, in a region, I can decide to also put it in availability zone B in that same region. What that does, right, it helps my I've created a redundant copy, right, which means the other one becomes a copy, like exact copy of what I have in A is what is in B, right? So it means that my instance is sitting in a physical data center somewhere in this availability zone A, and then that same instance, right, a copy of it is in another location, another availability zone. So that in case if anything happens to this availability zone or one of the availability zone, I can have the other one to fall back to. So yes, basically, like Olushola said, it is a repetition of data in another place. Yes. So the main purpose of availability zone is to provide redundancy. When you see redundancy, basically just what should come to your head is like a copy of something, right? Having the same, a repetition of something, like Olushola said, right? Having a repetition of something in the same place. Do we get that? So those that got the answer, good job, well done. Those that missed it, please just take notes of that explanation. Thank you very much. All right, Levina. Okay, so moving on. Question 4. Which AW, this one should be a very, very fast answer, very fast answer. Which AWS service can be used to manage user access and permission? The question has not yet changed, Tabby. YouTube is lagging seriously. Has the question changed on some people's end? Can we see the new question? Okay, I think some people can see the new question. Okay, right. Yeah, like I said, it should be fast, 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 fast answer. That's what I expect. It's a very easy question. So I'm not even seeing a different answer. Okay. All right. So let's see if all of us are correct. Maybe it is cloud formation like that. People are just saying B B B. All of you are just saying B B B. Let's check, Sha. All right. Yeah. So the answer is I am. I mean, just like the name is an identity and access management service. So I am is the one that manages user access and user permissions. So well done to everyone. All right, so next question, question 5. What is the purpose of AWS security groups? What is the purpose of AWS security groups? This should be another simple question. So AWS Lambda is a compute service, is a serverless compute. So it's like EC2 but serverless. That's Victoria. AWS Lambda is EC2 but serverless. Yes, so I am the question 5B. Okay. Yeah, this one should be a very easy question. B B without B, B is like a train without an engine. Okay. All right. Let's see. I think we have a lot of answers now. Let's see what the answer is. Yes. Just as it is very straightforward, right? It is the one that enforces security policies on EC2 instance, right? Basically, your security group are the ones that carry the rules that determine what can access your instance, what can enter into your instance, what can go out of your instance, right? So they are the one that enforce the inbound and outbound access to your instances, basically. All right, so hope that is clear. Question 6. Which of the following is not a valid S3 storage class? Which one is not a valid S3 storage class? Which of the following is not a valid S3 storage class? Um, you have A, S3 standard, S3 infrequent access, S3 backup, S3 glacier. Which one is not? Which one is not a storage class? Question 6C. Good. Okay. B, C, B. I'm seeing B and C. There's only one answer. Which one is not? Which one is not a storage class? Which one is not a storage class? I'm saying B, I'm saying C, I'm saying B, I'm saying C. Okay. Alright, let me allow two more answers in before we check. Please, I want to believe that all of us are being very righteous to answering this thing. No, don't go and use Google. Please, it's for our own good tonight, please. All right. Okay, I've seen two more answers. So let's check what the answer is. Which one is not a valid S3 storage class? The answer is S3 backup. Now, there's three main there's more than three, right? But the three main one is there's S3 standard, there's S3 infrequent access. S3 standard is the one that is the storage class for files, right, that you access frequently, that there's no day that you don't need to access it. Every other day you have to access that file. Infrequent access is another storage class. That one is the class of storage where if those files are files that you access maybe once in a month or once in 3 months, right, you can move them to infrequent access. And these different storage class, they have different pricing. So S3 standard is the most expensive of them all because it means you have to be accessing those files frequently. S3 frequent access is cheaper than S3 standard, which means it's not like you want to archive the data, but you are not also accessing the data frequently. Is once in a while that you are accessing it, maybe once every 2 months, once in 2 weeks, once in 3 weeks, right? Rather than paying for S3 standard, you can move those files to S3 infrequent access and reduce how much you're paying. And the last one is S3 Glacier. And if you remember, anything Glacier is for archival storage. So S3 Glacier is the archival storage class for S3, which means that if you have data that you've not accessed in 6 months, data that you've not accessed in 1 year, right, you can just archive them. So you want to archive a data, you use S3 Glacier, basically. So S3 backup is not a storage class. It is not part of the storage class. Do we get that? So for those that got the question, well done. Well done. Yeah, I like that you are faithful to the end. Please, let's be. It's better to miss the question and get corrected. If you copy it from Google, right, it will not stick. The answer will not really stick. But even if you miss it and then you are corrected, the correction sticks because it is explained. Please leave my Levina alone. Because it is allowed, Levina. It is allowed. There's still 15 more questions. The race is not to the swift, Chevy. And if the last can be the first. Just saying. All right, next question. Next question. Question 7. Which AWS service? This should be a very simple question. I don't expect anybody to miss this. Which AWS service allows you to scale your application based on traffic patterns automatically? So look at the keywords here. It allows you to scale. The scaling will be done based on traffic patterns, and the scaling will be done automatically. So look at those three keywords there. Which service? Elastic Beanstalk, AWS auto scaling, AWS cloud formation, AWS EC2, or Amazon EC2. Okay, I'm saying B. Let me wait for a few more answers. Yeah, or B. Okay, as the name implies, I like that. Well done. All right, so let's check our answer. Just like she said, as the name implies, the name is AWS Autoscaling. AWS Autoscaling is a service that is in charge of scaling your application automatically. All right, so next question, question 8. Which AWS service is designed for NoSQL database? Which AWS service is designed for a NoSQL database, which means that that database can deal with unstructured data. It can deal with unstructured data. RDS, Aurora, DynamoDB, Redshift. See. Tiff Connect says, which one do I want to choose by? See. Okay, let's see. Let's check our answer. Tiff Connect, have you made up your mind? Have you chosen an answer? Okay. All right, so let's see what our answer is. Yes, the answer is DynamoDB. So DynamoDB, every other service mentioned here, they all make use of SQL, right? They all make use of SQL. All RDS engine, like your RDS for SQL, RDS for MySQL, RDS for PostgreSQL, RDS for Oracle, all of them they use SQL. Amazon Aurora, which is it is a serverless SQL database. Redshift, which is AWS data warehouse, also uses SQL. So DynamoDB is the only one that is a no SQL database, and it is a key value pair database. It makes use of key value pair. If you remember when we talked about DynamoDB, so very well done to everyone that got the answer. If you did not get it, please just take note of the corrections now. All right, so question 9. Which of the following services is used for deploying an application in a serverless employment? Which of the following service is used for deploying and managing application in a serverless environment? So like your serverless compute. Question 9, B without B. Are you pretty sure that is B? No, that B has been plenty in our answer since we have been doing B, 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 B. Are you sure you don't want to do A or C? Oh God, oh, happy. Alright, there will be no need to cry, even if you miss it. Alright, so let's check our answer. The answer is B. Yes, very, very well done. The answer is B. Yay, I'm proud of all of you. All right, question 10. Let's move fast now. We have just 10 minutes more. Question 10. So we have less than 1 minute to answer the remaining question. What is the purpose of AWS Cost Explorer? I just explained this one not quite long ago, so I don't expect anybody to miss it. What is the purpose of AWS Cost Explorer? Question 10. Question 10. Question 10. C. Okay. Question 10. B. Question 10. B. 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 I immediately say, wait, though. Please don't be like me. Oh, yes, that's one thing I had to learn the hard way. Always read your questions very well and read the option very well. Just read it plenty times before you choose your answer. Was some of the things that dealt with me at the beginning of starting cloud computing. I'll think I read the question well and then I'll choose an answer. I'll now see that it was a wrong answer I chose. Not because I didn't know the answer, but because I read the question wrong. Please don't choose to answer, oh, Mr. Dami. Mr. Dami will find you this night. All right, so let's check. Let's check the answer. Yes, the answer is B, which is to visualize and to analyze costs. Like I said, any of the cost management tool that you see visualize as part of it, it is Cost Explorer. It is the only one that provides visual for you. All right, question 11. This one is simple. What is the main purpose of Amazon Elastic File System? I should not have put the full meaning safe. What's the main purpose of EFS? It's like I love B. It's not intentional though. It's set up. I'm sorry. But we have been doing B since, so that's true. You want to buy cloud car? Don't worry, we'll soon find him. We'll find him. Mr. Dami, you're going to be fined. We want a cloud Ferrari. Is that fine, Levina? All right, so let's check the answer for this. This should be easy as well. Yes, the answer is B. Remember that there is Elastic Block Store, which stores data as blocks, right? There's EFS and then there's S3. S3 stores data as objects. This one stores as file, while block store as block. All right, so question 12. What is the AWS service that provides monitoring and logging for AWS resources? Which of these AWS service monitors and logs AWS resources? Let us see if all the talk that I talked this evening paid off. Which of these service is the one that is business is to manage monitor resources? That his own is to manage resources. That is his own goal. AWS resources. Hmm. Hey, mm, all of you that are thinking that you will saying BBB in your exam, it is well with you. God, I'm seeing A and D. A and D. Please look at this question well. Oh. Is the one that monitors and logs for AWS resources. Okay, because of our time, let's quickly go and check. Let's go and check what the answer is. Somebody is changing our answer. All right. Yeah, I've seen almost all the option on that is there. Okay. Our answer is A. Now remember I was saying CloudWatch business is to monitor your resources, monitor their performance. That is the business of CloudWatch. The business of AWS config is to monitor the configuration of your resources, right? So if they did not put configuration in this thing, just know that it is CloudWatch, because both of them are monitoring resources, but they are monitoring two different things. CloudWatch is monitoring performance, config is monitoring configuration. So whenever you don't see configuration here, just know that the answer is what? CloudWatch. While for CloudTrail, it is monitoring API activities, is monitoring user API activities. So everything that a user is doing, right? Everything that a user a resources is doing in the cloud. If, for example, EC2 instance went to go and collect file from S3, it will write it down. This particular EC2 instance collected file from this particular S3 bucket. If Levina created happiness as a user, it will note it. So his own is to monitor API activity, and API is basically for everything that you are doing. Everything that you do is an API call, right? If you click on something, it is an API call. If you create something, it's an API call. So CloudTrail's job is to monitor all of those API activity. So if you see anything API, right, just know that that one is for CloudTrail. If you see configuration, know that it is for config. If you see performance monitoring or just monitoring and logging, just know that it is CloudWatch. All right. So for those that got it, very well done. For those that missed it, I'm sorry for the confusion, but at least now you understand it better. Okay, so question 13. We have 4 more minutes. Fast, 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 fast. Which of the following describes the concept of least privilege? I already explained this evening. Which of the following describes the concept of least privilege in AWS? I am very fast, very fast, very fast, very fast. No, Olushola, from the slide I put up tonight, the answer is CloudWatch. CloudTrail monitors users' activities. CloudTrail does not monitor AWS resources alone. It's monitoring also user activity. Nothing concern CloudTrail with the performance of the resources. Nothing concern it at all. All right, so question 13B, question 13B. Okay, cover time. Let's quickly check the time. The answer, yes, the answer is B. I already explained that this evening, so I'm glad we picked that up. Question 14. Which AWS service is used for setting up firewall rules for application? I remember Mr. Moses taught us this. So let me see how many people still remembers. Which AWS service is used for setting up firewall rules for applications? Evelyn, you want to cash out? Don't worry. See Mr. Dami for the cashing out. Okay, I'm saying A, B. Okay. All right, so let's quickly check our answer. The answer is WAF. The answer is WAF. And the full meaning, okay, so don't confuse this WAF with well architected framework. There is AWS WAF as a service, which is your uh oh god, something application firewall. Forgotten the W now. Uh, mm, trying to research it. I want to get the full meaning of that W. Just skipped my head just now. Web application firewall. Whew. Web. Thank you, Esther. God bless you. Thank you. So you see, anything can happen. The teacher can become the student. All right. So WAF is web application firewall. WAF is web application firewall. So if they ask you the resources that helps to set up firewall rules for applications, then it is what WAF. Shield is the one that prevents against your DDoS attack. Of course, we know what AWS config is and what AWS IAM is. Question 15 is 9 o'clock already. Maybe we'll just stop on question 15. What do we think? We are supposed to have 4 more questions to go on. Maybe we'll just stop here. Question 15. All right. Alex, are you saying we should not stop here? Ah, Deborah is also saying no. Okay. Dami, please, can we have like just extra 5 minutes to finish the questions? There are many questions, about four. Just about four left. Okay. All right. So question 15. Let's quickly have the answer to question 15 then. Okay, Olushola, I'll check the slide again. I'll check it again. All right. So question 15. Key benefits of sports instance. This should be very easy. B. More answers before we check the answer. B, okay, B. All right. So let's check the answer. Like I said, it's very simple. The major the major benefit of sports instance is the fact that it's providing a very low cost compared to on demand, providing a very, very low cost. Okay, so well done. Question 16, quickly. What type of AWS storage class is designed for archival storage? I know I mentioned this few minutes ago, so this one should be very, very fast answers. Question 16. Question 16. D. Okay, D. All right, so let's quickly check. D. Yeah, like I said, we mentioned it a few minutes ago. So yes, S3 Glacier is um for archival storage. Please note S3 one zone IA is basically S3 one zone infrequent access, right? So S3 infrequent access is going to replicate it in multiple availability zone. But S3 one zone basically means that it's going to store your data in just one availability zone, but it's going to be a storage class that is infrequently accessed, basically. All right, so question 17. What does This one is basically simple. What does AWS config primarily provide? This one is simple now. How did I set this question like this? Mr. Dami, we'll throw you out of our class. After the class, we'll throw you out. Okay, question 17b. B. Okay, let's quickly check our answer. I asked for 5 minutes. 5 minutes is almost up already. Yes, this time is flying. All right, yes, the answer is B, configuration history and compliance. So that one is very straightforward. All right, second to the last question. Please read this very, very well. A customer is concerned about cost management and he wants to know how to visualize He wants to know how to visualize their cost and how to set alerts for when they want to overuse. What tools will you recommend? So it means you are choosing two different AWS services. One that will cater to visualizing their cost, the other one that will cater to being able to set alerts for when they want to overuse their spending limit. So what is your answer? Question 18, B without, like somebody said, it's like I like B. But please don't use this to work with the exam. You're not gonna choose B. You're your own. Oh. All right. Okay, let's check the answer. The answer is yes. The answer is B. So, AWS budget will help the person to be able to set alerts for when he wants to spend more than his budget, or when he's approaching his spend limit. Cost Explorer will help him to be able to visualize their costs, basically. So yes, those two. Last question. Ah, Jesus. The last question is the same as in. I didn't have the last question, so it's the same thing. All right, so I think we're done for tonight. I think we're very, very done for this night. All right, so 9:05 on the dot. Thank you very much for tonight. Thank you so much. Please don't listen to Mr. Dami. I'm proud of all of you. I'm very, very proud of all of you. You have done so well, and I wish you the very best in the exam. I see you at the remaining phase of this training, at the mentorship and your project phase. It's been a pleasure teaching us. Please, Mr. Dami, send Evelyn a Cloud Ferrari. Thank you and God bless you. All right. Love you all so much. The date for the exam, I'm sure it will be communicated. It's probably next week, most likely next week or over the weekend, but it will be communicated basically. All right, love you all so very much. Thank you for the extra time that you have given to us tonight. Thank you for all the weeks of staying. I love you all, and I wish you the very best of the nights. Bye. All right, good night, everyone. Thank you.